This is Tom Doody, middle-aged American, living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you would type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Doody in a Google search from my site, NYC Subterranean 23rd Street. Give a quick tour of the station. 23rd Street. This is some clever artwork. Hats, noticed today for the first time, tells you who wore them and who the artist is. This wall with the art, the hats, and the 23rd Street sign. By my amateur engineering calculations, this wall holds some of the load of the Flatiron Building. I'm at 23rd Street, 5th Avenue, where it crosses Broadway, and that very narrow wedge in the south segment of the intersection of Broadway and 5th Avenue is occupied by the Flatiron Building, the very famous, once tallest building in the world. This is also Madison Square Park. I'll be reading an article from Der Spiegel. Der Spiegel, der, I believe means the, and Spiegel is the name of the newspaper. Now online, they're just called Spiegel. That is my belief. I have good reason to believe Spiegel online and Der Spiegel is the same organization. I also believe that this German paper would compare to, say, the New York Times, Washington Post, LA Times. It is a significant paper in Germany. Haven't read that. I can't confirm it. I have good reason to believe it's true. I could confirm it. I have yet to confirm it. They've written a poignant, critical, yet softly written editorial about the U.S. and racism, specifically the 9 killed in Charleston. It is hard-hitting yet gentle. I am struck by this text. June 26th, 2015, Der Spiegel. Confronting the past, America finally turns its attention to rampant racism. The commentary by Markus Feldenkirchen. The murders in Charleston have plunged the U.S. into a debate about racism. The murders in Charleston. Why is America only now having an honest debate about racism? The dead from Charleston are also the dead of a nation that has long refused to work through its past mistakes. The United States excels at dealing with injustices of other countries. They often even help other countries cope with their shameful past. Germany will always be grateful to the U.S. for sending American troops across the Atlantic to defeat the Nazis and for insisting that the Germans be held accountable for the crimes they committed. The Nuremberg trials gave Germans the opportunity to own up to what they had done. They could no longer deny it. The U.S. has been less successful, however, in conducting the same process when addressing the dark parts of its own past. This includes its treatment of Native Americans who were brutally repressed or even killed in order to clear way for Western expansion. They were betrayed, neglected, and disrespected. Today they live on reservations in some of the saddest living conditions in the civilized world. Americans seem even more forgetful when it comes to history of blacks who were once snatched from their homes, forced into ship galleys, kept like animals for centuries. Even after the end of the Civil War, the official abolition of slavery, it took another 100 years before the discriminatory racial laws were finally officially lifted. To this day, the U.S. has never issued a formal apology nor made any attempts to redress, let alone compensate. Instead, many patterns of institutional racism still exist. With a clean break from the past is not made, it may be difficult for people to part with their old ways of thinking. Indeed, not only do Americans continue to hold twisted notions of superiority of whites, but these beliefs often go unchallenged. Imagine, 150 years have passed since the American Civil War ended, and only now has a national debate begun over whether some of the symbols of the South are inappropriate. 9 black people had to die in Charleston, executed by a white Nazi, adorned with the Confederate flag and other symbols of alleged white supremacy. It seems that there was never a thought given to the fact that the South went to war against the North partly in order to defend their right to continue to hold blacks like animals, to put them in chains, to beat them when they were down. How is it that for many politicians and American citizens, the flag has now only become a little embarrassing? Why are people only now asking whether it's really a good idea to name streets and public spaces after the greatest generals in the fight for slavery? They may have been brave soldiers, but if they were fighting for a despicable cause, they should not have monuments built in their honor, unless, of course, we believe that what they stand for is really not so reprehensible. On the Mall in Washington, and not somewhere in Germany, you can find one of the best and most poignant Holocaust museums in the world. Yet, similarly, impressive monuments dedicated to the history of slavery, to racism policies throughout American history, or to the treatment of Native Americans are missing. Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of Independence, is enshrined on the Mall in a monument fit for a deity. The fact that Jefferson was in fact a brutal slave owner is something one only learns at his former estate in Monticello. Perhaps not surprisingly, that fact is not prominently displayed. To date, the treatment American gives its own dark past is so ignorantly passive so intentionally vague, so in denial, that it begs the question, do the majority of Americans feel any guilt or acknowledge any wrongdoing toward blacks and Native Americans? Every nation has dark spots in its past, and nowhere are those spots darker than in Germany. However, the greatest of a country is reflected in how it deals with its past and whether it critically examines it. In this respect, the United States is not the great nation it believes itself to be. Whew. Now, Der Spiegel publishes in German, and Spiegel online has a special link for English, and I click on that occasionally, a couple times a week. And I see biased in what they put in English. In other words, they don't just randomly put text in English. They seem, by my casual observation, it seems they put stories in English that they want English-speaking people to read. And on this occasion, they were effective. They got my attention, and I'm sure to get the attention of a few others, maybe many others. This one's tough. I'm NYC subterranean. I can come down here, I have Wi-Fi, I communicate, I feel dignified, though underground. And these words are hard. And provoke self-examining. This has been Tom Doody, middle-aged American living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you would type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Doody in a Google search for my site. Thank you for listening. Have a good day, good evening, a restful night's sleep. Ciao.